What are examples of long-term investments? In today's video, we are diving into examples of long-term investments. Whether you are a beginner or experienced investor, it's important to understand which investments to make for the long term. I am Tiffany Thomas, your wealth mentor. I achieved financial freedom in my 30s and became a millionaire at 40. I'm here to help you do that even easier and earlier. So let's dive right in. Long-term investments are designed to help us generate growth over extended periods of time. And I'm going to dive into a few different long-term investments. But first, I want to clarify, some people think life insurance is an investment, but it is not. It is insurance for your life. So I'm not covering that in today's video, but I did cover it in another video, so I will leave a link above. You can check it out later on. All right, the first long-term investment that I want to talk about is stock market investing, and in particular, stocks or equities. So companies that you are able to buy shares of in the stock market. Those are going to provide long-term wealth for you. As long as we are choosing the best companies possible. An easy way to have a lot of companies inside of your investment portfolio is to choose an index fund. An index fund has a whole bunch of companies inside of just one single fund, so it makes it really easy to invest in a whole bunch of different companies without having to buy shares of every single company. You can just make one single investment in an index fund and then have diversification within your portfolio. And of course, you can buy individual stocks. I do both. I have a few individual stocks that I think are going to grow over the long term. And then I also invest in an index fund that I know will continue to rise over time. This is a really easy long-term investment to make, because you can get started for a really small amount, even $5, and I explain how to do that in another video. I'll leave a link above. But nonetheless, we can get started for a really small amount when we are investing in stocks in the stock market, and continue to increase that amount over time, over the long term. And when we are choosing these companies to invest in, it's definitely going to build our wealth over the long term because they will continue to grow and provide value, and their share price will continue to rise over time. We just want to make sure that we are choosing good companies. Another investment that we can make for the long term is in bonds. This is also a very easy way to invest our money and collect passive income over time. So if we are looking to grow our wealth, I would say we want to invest in stocks. But if we want to preserve our wealth, then we can invest in bonds. And when you are buying a bond, you are essentially lending money to the government or even to a corporation, and then you are receiving a monthly or quarterly payment, interest payment, for a specified amount of time. Bonds tend to be more stable and consistent, so this is an easy long-term investment for us. I personally do not have any bonds right now since I am looking to grow my wealth. And later, perhaps when I am older, I may switch some of my stocks over to bonds. We shall see how risky I want to be later in life, but for now I am fine with being risky and investing only in stocks within the stock market so that I can continue to grow my wealth over the long term. And if you haven't yet invested in the stock market and you want help with that, I have a free masterclass where I go over how I can help you invest in the stock market. I will leave a link below in the description. You can click on that link and check out my free masterclass. And then another example of a long-term investment would be real estate. I also invest in real estate. I do buy and hold properties. This is a semi-passive way to invest your money. I manage my properties myself, so I don't have a property manager that is taking care of most of the work, but I don't mind doing the work right now. So I will continue to manage my properties until maybe I want to start spending my time on something else, and then I may switch to a property manager. I really like investing in real estate. I've been able to be very successful with this and collect cash flow from my properties every single month from my tenants or from my renters. And not only that, the property that I have purchased is going to appreciate. It's going to go up in value over the long term. Real estate makes for a great long-term investment because you're creating that cash flow every single month from your tenants, And then you're also going to have that appreciation of the property, which you can cash out on later. So if you want to be a little more hands-on with your investing, real estate is a great option for that. And if you're thinking you don't really want to be hands-on with your investing, you can also invest in real estate inside of the stock market. You can invest in what is called a REIT, a real estate investment trust. Those will give you exposure to real estate without owning a physical real estate property and having to take care of that. If you do decide to invest in REITs, I would just make sure that you are looking at the expense ratio, the charge for investing in a REIT, and make sure the return you are getting is going to be worth it. And going back to physical properties, I invested in one of my properties back in 2016, and I actually sold that property in 2021 and doubled the value of my home, of my property. So I was able to make a significant amount of money within 5 years. And that doesn't always happen. It just happened to work that way for me this time with this property. And not only doubling the value of the home, I was collecting cash flow every single month from that property because I was living in it, but I had roommates living with me as well. And with my other properties, I was able to rent those properties out. And actually, when I sold my third property that I had purchased, I was able to move into one of the properties that I already had. And I had my tenants move out, and then I had 2 roommates. So I was still making money from the property that I ended up moving into. If you are willing to do a little extra work with your investments, real estate is a great way to do that because you can have a completely separate property and just rent that out, or you can also have roommates and create a little extra cash flow for yourself every single month. Okay, let's talk about a couple of other options that we have that are going to give us some tax advantages. One of them is our retirement accounts. For example, if we are working at a 9-to-5 and we are offered a 401k with a company match, that can be a great way to invest our money for the long term. And even if we don't have a 9-to-5, we can set up our own 401k for our business. There are different types of 401ks for business owners. Or we can even set up an IRA or a Roth IRA or even a SEP IRA if we are a business owner. And depending on which type of account we set up, we can get a tax break at the beginning or we can get a tax break at the end. For example, with a Roth IRA, you're going to pay taxes on the money up front that you put into the Roth IRA. And then that money is going to grow tax-free over the long term. And then when you pull it out, it is completely tax-free. So you don't pay any taxes when pulling that money out, which is awesome. You don't have to worry about factoring in how much you are going to pay for taxes when you are investing inside of a Roth IRA or even a Roth 401k. And if we want to get tax benefits up front, if we want to lower our taxable income, then we can set up an IRA. And that way it's going to lower our taxable amount by the amount we are putting into our IRA. And then once we pull that money out, we will have to pay taxes on that money. But we can choose these types of accounts so that we can get a tax advantage one way or another. And if you are offered a 401k with a company match, I would definitely take advantage of that company match because that is essentially free money. That is a great way to invest our money for the long term. And then going back to stock market investing, I know I talked about index funds. There's also another version, which is an ETF, an exchange traded fund. And this also has a bunch of stocks inside of just one ETF. And it is very easy to invest in an ETF. You can get started for just the price of an ETF, or even some brokerage firms allow you to do a fractional share. So you don't even have to have the full amount for one share of an ETF. And if you're wondering more about fractional share investing, I do have another video breaking it down. I will leave a link above. But nonetheless, buying an ETF is a really easy way to get started investing your money for the long term. Because again, those ETFs that have a whole bunch of stocks inside of them are going to grow over time, and it has great diversification. You don't have to worry about keeping your eye on the ETF as much as you would if you were investing in just one single company. When you are deciding which of these examples of long-term investments to invest in, make sure that you are taking into consideration your risk tolerance and your time horizon. We don't want to be investing in things that are going to be above our risk tolerance and risk selling our investments and locking in any losses and then missing out on potential gains. And we also want to be careful of our time horizon. If we have very little time before we retire, we may not want to invest all in stocks. We may want to put some money in bonds so that we can preserve our wealth. And if you don't have an interest in real estate, then you don't need to invest in real estate. You can stick to the stock market. So it's really based on your own preferences and what is going to work best for you. So comment below and tell me, which of these long-term investments are you going to invest in? I am curious to know. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone else who would like to hear this information. And hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit the little bell to get notified on when I post new videos. And if you want to see even more awesome content from me, make sure and check out the videos on the side of the screen. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.